What's up everybody, today we're doing a new video series called Massive Mega Manga Mondays, which will be cancelled after this one video because it's just not sustainable for my wallet. Definitely went a little overboard, but you know, they're basically picture books, you go through them pretty fast. Anyways, it was like 100 degrees today, so I'm filming pretty late in the evening, and I know there's a lot, but hopefully we can get through while there's still sunlight. So the first thing I picked up was Cat Diary by Junji Ito. He's obviously very famous for his horror manga, but this is the collector's edition, which comes with a new cover. It's obviously jumbo-sized and not paperback. But this isn't a horror story, it's just basically him telling his experience of owning two cats with some creepy art. I definitely would have preferred to get the original, which was only like $10. For $20, it's a little expensive, but it does have some fun interview questions with Junji Ito. So I recommend this if you want a glimpse of Junji Ito's personal life, or you're just really a big fan of cats. Then I also picked up Dissolving Classroom. This one is actually horror, and it's one of Junji Ito's later works. Sorry if this one makes you a little bit squeamish. I haven't read this one yet, but it looks to be more on the wacky side of horror. Then I'm sure no one needs an explanation. We have another volume of Spy Family, and then a couple of volumes of Komi-san. I still really like Komi-san. Nothing complicated, it's just a nice dose of cuteness. It's just short and sweet, like a nice cheap ice cream cone. I've only seen season 1 and it was pretty good, but I think I still just prefer reading it. But moving on to something new, we have Sakamoto Days. But it's basically about the best hitman in the world who retired, got married, had kids, and now he's got a bit of a dad bod. But his past comes back to cause him all sorts of trouble and mischief. But it's all pretty lighthearted and silly, not too serious here. I believe it's pretty popular in Japan, so I'm pretty sure it's gonna get an anime, and because there is action, that might be the best way to enjoy it. So I'm gonna hold off on getting any more volumes for now. Then for collection's sake, we have the first volume of One Piece. I just wanted a single piece of this 100+ volume series. I think I'm just gonna read the rest of it digitally. But it's pretty crazy because the original printing was back in June of 2003, and this is the 31st printing in 2021. You can definitely tell this one's new because there's an ad for Boruto. At this point, I wouldn't be surprised if One Piece is still being printed when Boruto has a son. But speaking of classic anime and manga, we have the Death Note short stories. I absolutely love the art on this cover. They also did that neat effect where the title is smooth and glossy so you can see the light kind of reflecting off of it. These short stories are pretty recent and it got a lot of traction because there's one presidential character who resembles a certain somebody. Definitely recommend this if you're a fan of Death Note. Next we have several volumes of Fire Punch. If you don't know, this is the same author and illustrator as Chainsaw Man. Fire Punch is a wild ride. I read it a while back, but it's only 8 volumes, so I'm trying to collect it now. Volumes like 2 through 8 have been pretty hard to get. But it's basically about an immortal guy who gets set on fire for all of eternity. He basically gets Amaterasu. So he's constantly being burned alive, but by punching people, he can spread that never-ending fire. Then we have volume 6 of Zom 100. I really like series like Shaun of the Dead and Dead Rising where, you know, it's the zombie apocalypse. Have a little fun with it. But yeah, basically they're just going around doing their bucket list while in the middle of a zombie apocalypse. But to go on a little mini side rant, there is this German girl right here. She talks with an accent, so to get that point across when they translate it, they do things like "there is no such thing as," or over here you can see it's "whether it was you who was really right." For me, it's like, I get it, she's German, just go ahead and translate it normally after you meet her for the first time. Then we got another new series, this is Crazy Food Truck. Now this one is about an older guy who is running a food truck in a post-apocalyptic world. I'm always a sucker for manga about food, but he meets a random girl with a big appetite being chased by an army and helps her out. But I don't know, this one just didn't really click with me. Probably won't get volume 2 unless people really start raving about this. Then we have another volume of Oyasumi Poon Poon. This is the 5th volume, but it's the last one I was missing. I've been waiting to collect them all before I start it, so now I can binge it and be filled with more crippling depression. Now, the next big series I'm planning on collecting is 20th Century Boys. It does the same thing with Death Note where it has the title in that shiny, reflective gloss. But these are the perfect editions, which basically combine 2 volumes into one. I believe there are 11 perfect editions out there, so I picked up 2, 3, and 4. The series originally came out in 1999, so I'm very curious to see how it's aged. Next we have Witchcraft Works, which I remember watching the anime a long time ago, and I don't even remember if it was good or not, but the final volume, the manga, came out this year, so I thought why not pick up volume 1 and see if it's worthwhile to collect. The plot is pretty straightforward. You have your ordinary high school guy who runs into the school idol who turns out to also be a witch. But to go on a tangent, a real first world problem, the different manga sizes kinda annoy me. This is published by Vertical, and you can see it's shorter than the Shonen Jump volume, but the newer manga published by Vertical are the same height as Shonen Jump, but the new ones are also wider, so it just looks really stupid on a shelf. Moving on, we have another volume of My Dress Up Darling. It's pretty crazy that this already got an anime, but volume 5 is the newest one in the West, but I believe Japan has 9 volumes out so far. But I do think it's silly to rate this mature. It is nowhere near the same level as other series. Now this next series is one I've never heard of before, but it's called Great Priest Imhotep. But I've always loved ancient Egypt and fiction because of movies like The Mummy and Yu-Gi-Oh! But yeah, the character design on this cover looked really nice, so I thought I'd pick it up, and I really enjoyed it so far based off this first volume. I believe the series is finished now at 11 volumes, but I'll probably try to pick up volumes 2 and see how it goes from there. Then we have volume 5 of Miriko-chan. Comedy horror manga is pretty rare to come by, so I still really enjoy this series. I definitely prefer reading it over the anime, which I think could have leaned a little more into the horror, and it felt like they added more fan service scenes, which I didn't really care for. But I definitely recommend the manga if you like seeing the contrast between creepy and disturbing monsters with cute anime girls, and it somehow still remains silly and lighthearted. Now, I don't usually collect a lot of shoujo manga, but this one is pretty fun concept. Kaiju Girl Caramelized is your standard cute romance story, but whenever her heart gets pumping, she gets those doki dokis, she starts turning into Godzilla. But this is volume 5, I've only read volumes 1 and 2, but volumes 3 and 4 were out of stock, and volume 5 was on sale. Then we have Solo Leveling, a Korean webtoons now getting a physical release. From what I've seen, it's a really popular webtoon, but it is a little pricey because it's printed all in color on glossy paper, so I don't think I'll collect the whole series. Now, if you've never read a webtoons comic, they're meant to be read on a phone where you infinitely keep scrolling, so it'll be interesting to see how this compares reading it physically. But the series is another power fantasy, so there's lots of action. There's currently rumors of an anime being made, so that might be how I finish the series. But if not, I'll just finish the webtoon online. I believe at the moment it's currently finished. Then we have my first ever Japanese manga. This is Rockman-chan, which in the West he's called Mega Man. Now, usually video games don't translate too well to other forms of media, but this is a comedy gag manga. You can see Rush on the cover there, just being a Shiba with duct tape, and there's even the old school Mega Man box art where he just had a straight up gun. So this is a very silly and stupid interpretation of Mega Man. And it's pretty adorable. They have a little pixel art Mega Man sprite there on the spine. But I just saw this floating around on AmiAmi. It was really cheap, only 640 yen, which at the moment isn't even $5. Looking at the back, this is absolutely absurd. Lots of references, I'm sure. It would be so awesome to get this translated in the West, but I don't think Mega Man is as popular as he used to be. But maybe this will be good motivation for me to finally learn Japanese. I really like the way they handled the advertising on this. On the cover slip, you can actually remove this little marketing mumbo jumbo. Look how cute Rush is in this. Look at him just lazing about. I really love the actual cover for this. Reference to the actual stage select where you pick the boss you want to fight. They have plasma TV, man. Also really cute how they have that game start there. The back even has continue, so it's like, continue on to the second volume. I don't know if this is the case for all Japanese manga, but in the middle of it, it had this little pamphlet. to advertise all the other manga series, and oh my god does this thing go on. And it's even double-sided. But I really prefer this over how Western publishers do it, where they put the ads on the inside cover or on the back pages, like we saw with the One Piece volume where the ads of Dragon Ball and Boruto were actually part of the printing. But before I get too carried away, I also picked up Rockman-san, which is basically Mega Man when he grows older, and he looks like he's just a normal human man. Continuing on the Mega Man train, a little bit different, we have the Mega Man Battle Network art book. I'm sure a bunch of people are unfamiliar, but this is like Mega Man if it took a Pokemon Digimon approach, where everyone's a quirky trainer, where everyone has their own digital buddy pet that they use to battle. But it was also an RPG where you battled monsters, which were computer viruses. But this art book is fantastic. It even includes concept art and especially the chip list. This game had a deck builder aspect to it, so every card had its own artwork, and there are a lot of cards for Battle Network 1 through 6, so it's crazy they included all of them. Then we have the Duke of Death and His Maid. This is great if you're a fan of the teasing genre, which is like Takagi, Nagatoro, Uzaki-chan. But this one has a lot of potential because the main character is cursed, so anything he touches dies. So it adds a little more of a twist to the genre. Then we have one that I really didn't expect to enjoy. We have the 100 Girlfriends who really love you. Basically, it takes your generic harem story, but instead of 5 girls, it has 100. The series is very self-aware and gets really ridiculous. Another one I picked up for collection's sake, we have the first volume of Miss Kobayashi. Everyone knows how great the anime is, but I just kind of wanted the source material. I just usually think it's neat to see how everything started out, especially how the art is different. But speaking of the arts, I really thought this next series was by the same author and artist, but it's just the art that's the same. The story is actually written by Amahara, which wrote Interspecies Reviewers. But the series is about gods versus demons, but neither gods or demons are really good guys here, and humanity pretty much just gets caught in the middle. But there are some pretty hardcore elements to it, so be warned. I know Mappa did the anime for it last year, so I might check that out. Another one for the collection, we have the first volume of Made in Abyss. Another series I probably won't collect because I prefer the anime. Heck, they even remind you of the anime on the back. But yeah, I'm very excited for the next season of Made in Abyss. Now, I'm amazed this series isn't mature because some of the stuff in this is really tragic and just hard to stomach, especially since it happens to very young children. But yeah, when it comes to these big fantasy and magical worlds, I just prefer watching the anime so you can see it all in color, see all the creatures breathe and interact, and the sounds and music to bring everything to life. I also picked up My Senpai is Annoying. I believe this got an anime pretty recently, but it's just another fun little slice of life. What's kind of unique is that this manga is partially colored, so you see some things like hair, clothing are filled in with a solid color. You can see there at the top of the page, they even have part of the title, adds a little extra charm. Then we have Volume 4 of Level 1 Demon Lord and One Room Hero, an absurd title. It's a comedy where 10 years after the hero and his party defeat the Demon Lord comes back, only to find the hero has gotten cancelled and is pretty much just living like a bum. But it got announced that it's gonna be getting an anime. Then we have a couple volumes of Gigant or Gigant, I'm not really sure how to say it, but it's the same author as Gantz and Inuyashiki. They were very wild and gory sci-fi series. I've only actually read the first volume of this, so I don't actually know if it's still good or not, but I've enjoyed the roller coaster ride of his other series, so I'm gonna collect it all and then binge it. I really enjoy buying random manga and having no expectations, but sometimes they turn out to be a real piece of crap. Dungeon Toilet, unsurprisingly, is about a guy who gets isekai'd into a generic fantasy world and he just tries to find the best bathroom, which is a pretty funny concept on toilet paper, but I just thought it was kind of poorly executed. It just wasn't that funny. The characters were pretty boring. I think out of this entire pile, this is like the first major stinker. But then we have It's Just Not My Night, Tales of a Fallen Vampire Queen. This is a reverse isekai. If you've seen The Devil is a Part-Timer, this is basically the same concept, but a little more raunchy. Basically, a vampire queen gets transported to modern day Japan, but she has no powers, so she has to work at like a convenience store. And a bunch of shenanigans happen. But yeah, I'll definitely be picking up volume 2 of this. But the next few series are pretty degenerate, so feel free to click off if you're uncomfortable with that. But we have Please Put Them On Takamine-san. This is like every other rom-com slice of life, like Horimiya or Dress Up Darling, where the guy and the girl share a secret, and that secret brings them closer together. It's pretty wholesome, except for the fact that her secret is that when she takes off her undergarments, she can reverse time, but she just uses it to like fix her grades and minor stuff like that. But the mature rating basically comes from the spicy artwork that you see when she does it, but it's nothing too crazy. Now, this series caught my eye because it's the same artist as High School of the Dead, real trashy stuff, hence the mature rating. But it's a magical girl story where the good guys are actually bad and the bad guys are good, and then sprinkled with some fan service. But the first volume was just okay, but when I looked it up on Mal, it didn't even have a review or a score, which is pretty rare, so it's probably a sign to drop it. Now, if you thought Minecraft didn't have enough dark-skinned elves and booba, then this is probably the series for you. I'm not gonna lie, I literally bought this for the girl on the cover, but the story is your generic isekai, but this time the protagonist literally has Minecraft powers, so he can do a bunch of building and crafting super easily, and he uses it to help out the elf on the cover. Outside the Minecraft gimmick, this one is just alright. But falling prey to another dark-skinned elf, we have World's End Harem Fantasy Academy. World's End Harem is a series I think is pretty trash, but there was a spin-off called Fantasia, taking place in a fantasy world, which was alright. So Academy takes those characters from Fantasia and puts them into a slice of life 4-koma, where they go to school and just have a normal life. If you don't know what a 4-koma is, it's basically just 4 panels on every page, usually the 4th panel being the punchline. But I thought this one was pretty meh, I didn't really find it funny, and the mature rating was really just like fan service on the last few pages. So if we include the Battle Network book, this was 41 items that I'm sure will be a nightmare to fit into my shelf. But hey, if you enjoyed this chill manga haul, thanks for watching. Subscribing would be awesome, and I hope to see you on the next video. Bye bye.